From President Donald Trump to the deadly protests in Charlottesville to the debate about monuments, I sit down one-on-one with Rocky D for this special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And let me take you to somebody who wants to run for governor. That's Catherine Templeton. As you know, she made some controversial comments about the Confederacy. She defended herself on Twitter.
Yeah.
She said the following quote, "I've recently come under attack from the press and others for my comments about the Confederate flag. If it's politically incorrect to say I'm a proud daughter of the Confederacy, then call me politically incorrect. My father was named after Judge William Bradley, a Confederate soldier who fought under General Robert E. Lee and lost his arm at the Battle of Seven Pines.
Oh, no.
I have a son named Hampton and a dog named Dixie. That does not make me a racist. It makes me from South Carolina and proud of it.
Sure.
It's outrageous to me that some would have me disavow my family and our history." What do you read from that?
She's right. In other words, what she's saying is, well, she's doing two things. First of all, she's right. Like I told you before, you can't besmirch someone's history, and don't condemn a conquered people. Don't condemn them, and don't try to erase their history because they come out. What she's also saying is to the electorate of South Carolina, because the whole state votes for governor, not just one district, not one section, and not one section of people. It's everybody who votes. She's saying, I will stick up for you as a South Carolinian. And even people who move here, who are not from the South, they think taking down flags, the majority of them I've talked to, think that taking down flags and monuments is stupid, and they'll still get their vote too. I think it's silly. I think it's just plain silly. The Soldiers Monument that the flag was next to in Columbia, you saw it.
Right.
Yeah, there's two people in this room who actually stood underneath the Confederate flag as it flew in Columbia, South Carolina. The 200 and something people surrounding it that day were not there. Templeton probably saw it too. Yeah, she's running, she's collecting votes, and she's right. The other candidates won't say that, but she's right. If you're trying to appeal to the crowd that wants to tear stuff down, there's not as many votes in that as you think. I would suggest that when it comes to the white nationalists versus the Antifa and the Black Lives Matter, I would guess a lot of those people don't even vote, especially Antifa, because they come from all over the country. How many people that you saw in Charlottesville were actually from North Carolina? Probably almost none of them. Less than 10%, I would say. And they're definitely not from Charlottesville. I mean, there were more people there than there were in Charlottesville. I mean, but you take the whole county, it was still a small amount of people. It would not have taken that much to quell that riot. As far as Templeton goes, if she's got problems running for, her biggest problem running for governor is that Henry McMaster's pretty popular. It's hard to defeat an incumbent, which, by the way, is why Nikki Haley is already in the UN. The reason she was, one of the reasons she was offered a job by the Trump administration, someone she, not so much besmirched in her time, but she wasn't a fan of his. The reason they did that was they removed her from the governor chair because she was unpopular, okay? And that installs Henry McMaster so he can run as an incumbent. Now you get it? It's politics. That was a political move, okay? Because you and I both, anybody could be the UN ambassador to the United States. You know, the United States ambassador to the UN. You could do it, I could do it. You just stand up there and say, can we, do the Rodney King thing. I know he's dead. Can we all get along? Okay, thank you, good night. When's lunch? I mean, there's your ambassador. Okay. Right? So that's probably a simplified version, you think?
You talk about the Trump presidency. Obviously, somebody who was a part of that was Steve Bannon. He has left the he's left the White House and moved back to Breitbart, I should say.
And he said, and he says, I have my weapons again now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What is the future of the Trump presidency from now on, your mom?
The only people that are saying, you've heard this, oh, the Trump presidency's done. It's hurt. It's got problems now. You've heard that, right? Where have you heard that? Only in the pop culture, so-called news media. You don't hear that sitting in a restaurant. You don't hear that walking down the street. You might hear it at universities like here. The other day I wore a Make America Great Again hat, and my girls in the post office. I have the two gals in the post office. They're like diamond and silk. I swear to God, they're just like them. And they come in, she said to me, where are you going with that silly hat? And I went, I didn't even know I had it on. And I took it off and I said, oh, I said, maybe you should say, make the post office great again. And they're laughing, ha ha ha. And then we do our business. But they had to mention the hat. Only in government offices, only in the news media will you hear that Trump is done. You don't hear anybody else saying that. Like I told you, the average wrench twister, hammer swinger, mechanic, they are thinking about lowering tax. Excuse me, I'm allergic to Quintin. Maybe I'm allergic to common sense, who knows. Where was I? Oh, the only people that are saying that are the news media. No one's saying that. These people that are working for a living are worried about taxes, they're worried about paying their insurance, they're worrying about schools. That's what they're concerned about. How silly Donald Trump's yellow hair looks, they don't care. How fat or thin he is, they don't care. What he tweets to people, they don't care. I don't care.
Okay,
Dude.
let me talk about the news media.
Oh boy.
Okay, if they were to sit down one-on-one with President Trump, what should they say to them to rectify the situation so that everyone can be on page and, you know?
Who said who? What should the news media say to Trump?
Yes.
How about they say, let him talk, and not just shout it. Did you see the last press conference where he just stopped to talk?
Right.
Who are these people screaming at him? All at once, and he has to go like this, like settle down. This is only recent in the last 15 years this has happened with the explosion of social media.
Right.
Because now CNN, Fox News, and all these places, they have to compete with social media. And indeed, CNN and Fox News are in effect alternative media of the day.
Okay.
They are the parents of alternative media. People got sick of the three major networks, and they went off to cable.
Right.
And now cable's going away. Everybody's online now.
Right.
I get more hits online on my show now than what I did at the last station I was at. Because everything is on demand.
Right.
They want it when they want it, not when you're on. They want it when they want it.
Right.
I get emails and messages, where's your show? At 2 in the morning. You know, I'm still online at 2 in the morning. That's when you get the best deals at some of those funky websites. I'm just kidding, I don't do that. And by the way, people who do that, that's fine. Live how you got to live, as they say. What should the reporters do? How about ask Trump something pertinent that makes a difference to everybody? Okay? I don't think people really care. They're annoyed by it, but I don't think they really care about white nationalists. They're not scared of them. If you come walking up my front walk with a Nazi flag in your hand and one of those funky haircuts where you got hair on the top of your head but nothing on the side, like the opposite of some monk or something, you get walking up my with a Nazi flag on my walk, you're gonna get a double barrel looking right at you out the front door. Get off my lawn. Yeah, I'm at that point in my life. Get off my lawn. Stay off my lawn. Don't bring your crap up in here. Okay? Keep that out in the street somewhere. Okay? I own this place. You're not coming through my door with your stupid Nazi flag and all that stuff. Then you want to bring a historic flag with you? That's fine. You come walking up with a Confederate flag in your hand, you better have a good reason for that too. You don't be waving that in people's faces. I tried telling the flaggers, which are nice people, by the way, they really are, and they're around here, around the College of Charleston. I tell them, just make sure you don't go that extra one step, because the Sons of Confederate Veterans aren't happy with them, and the Confederate Heritage Trust is not real happy with them, because what they don't want to do, those are history groups, as you know, and what they don't want is they don't want flags shoved in people's faces. Well, the flaggers are real close to doing that. But here's the rub. You didn't see much of the flaggers until they were bothered. You don't see the hornets unless you kick the nest. You don't see the red ants unless you kick the fire ant hill. Don't kick the fire ant hill. Leave them alone. You know, they believe in history their way. I just told them, like when we're on the Battery every Saturday here, I think they're there now.
I believe so.
Yeah, we're doing this on a Saturday in the library. That's right, you're paying for this. We take tips.
Gosh.
And they're around the corner. I told them, I said, just don't stick it in anyone's face. And if somebody throws the F-bomb at you, which happens to them, I said, don't throw it back. Last time I was out there standing with them, because there was a black woman in town named Arlene. I think I sent you that picture. She's a black lady who dresses in period costume from the 1860s, and her great-great-grandfather, I believe she said, was a black Confederate soldier who joined, like a lot of them do, toward the end of the war. And he got a pension and everything, and she has a marker for his grave and all that, I guess. And she was standing there, and a carload of young black people, well, the one that stuck her head out the window was definitely a young black lady. Well, lady, I use that term loosely. She yelled the F-bomb at us, blah, 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 as she was coming around the corner there. And one of the things she said to us was, I hope you don't mind me saying this on the air, she said, F all you guys, F all yous. And I said, really? Because then they had to stop because the cop stopped them. Don't do that here. Keep, and they had to stop. And then she looked right at me and I said, really? All of us? You don't look that enterprising, to tell you the truth. And she, which was a funny thing to say, everybody laughed. And she got mad, go. If you see something you don't like, you can set up your own alternate protest, which we had 3 people from the Animals Are People Too crowd or somebody, I don't know who it was, were over there. One of the gals from the Flaggers went over and gave them some cookies. They get along a lot better than you think. But to start swinging pipes and throwing punches, no. And to the media, once again, if you're going to sit down one-on-one with Trump, ask him something that's pertinent to the people of the nation. He's not president to take pictures. He's not president to be famous. He already was. He's certainly not getting rich. He's not even taking a salary. Do you know that? Right. He doesn't need it.
He donates in one of the departments.
$400,000 a year is what the president gets paid. Okay? That's what the president gets paid. Obama probably needed the money. George Bush, I don't know their family situation. But Donald Trump makes more money than that in a day off the properties and stuff that he owns.
Right.
He doesn't need $400,000 a year. Okay? He doesn't need that. He probably gives 10 times that amount, 20 times in charity every year. You can do that when you're a billionaire. That's why I don't understand the guy from North Korea. All the things you could do as king of a country. Just think of all the good things you could do if you were king of anything, Quintin. You could start programs, you could do stuff, you could make, you could deal with other countries, you could have a good time, you could still live like a king all the time. Okay? Well, what does this guy do in North Korea? He wants to build missiles to poke the biggest dog in the eye, us. Why? China won't let him do it, but that's a whole other story. Back to the media. Ask him something pertinent that makes a difference to us, okay? To you. Ask him something that, ask him about the economy. How are you going to fix this? Ask him about jobs. Ask him about bringing factories back here. Ask him how come he has an interest in factories worldwide and what he can do to bring those factories here. Why he has factories over there. Ask him why he makes his ties someplace, either in Mexico or whatever it is. By the way, you like my tie, folks? Got all the flags on there. This tie was given to me by the guy who wrote the book, The South Was Right. Did you ever see that book?
No.
Yeah, you have. Well, they probably took it down now. Interesting book. This has all the flags on it right there. Let's see, it's got the Bonnie Blue, it's got the battle flag, it's got the third national flag, it's got the second national flag and the first national flag right there. And there's other ones, I guess. But if flags make you nervous, if statues make you sad, you've got a real weak constitution. Real weak constitution. I only give a pass to 2 people, 2 different sections of people on being out of touch. And you know who those 2 sections are because you've heard it on my show. Right. I give a pass to little kids because they're usually either being told what to say or they don't know what to say. They're kids, okay? And very old people. You got to let old people go. I had a call from North Charleston one time. I was on the phone. I said, how's it look out there in the middle of the day? He goes, well, where I'm at, it's pretty dark out here. I was like, I don't know if he meant there was an eclipse, if it was cloudy, or if there was black people. Donna, through the window, Donna about bit the microphone with her, bang, she was dying. We were laughing so hard. Right. Because this is something only old people say. The word colored folk is just beginning to come back. It's become kish, if you will, I guess. But how often in your life did you hear it? Even as a kid, and I'm over the age of 50, I don't remember hearing the word colored people hardly anywhere. These terms are gone, but when you hear an old person use it, you just go, me. I mean, the NAACP, what does the C stand for? CP, colored people. There you go. So it's an old organization. So I give passes to the very young and the very old. However, your 17-year-old, your 25-year-old Antifa, who still lives in mom's basement and eats, Hot Pockets and plays on the computer all day, no, there's no excuse for you. There's a million things for young people to do. Look at this guy, okay? He's got his own show. In fact, he did a show so often that finally, when the people in the news media sobered up, they hired him. Good for you. And so there's plenty of things you can do out there that are not always computer related. How many young people out there right now? My grandfather came here when he was 14. Okay. At the age of 14, he was a bricklayer. He was a farmer. He was a gardener. He was a painter. He was a carpenter. He was a mechanic of what there were for machines in 1905. How many people that are seniors in high school right now could do any of those? My grandfather could take a can, a sealed can, and he could find a way to open it. Not long ago, I was in Parson Jack's Cafe. Right. Did I take you there yet?
No, not yet.
You got to go. You would like it. It's in District 2, which there's an election there now. Right. And we had a gal there. This is a couple of years ago. She was sitting there. She was in her 20s. And we were talking about things you don't see anymore. She had no idea. We were drawing pictures of things you never see anymore. So one of the things you don't see anymore is, remember the dial-up sound from computers? Right. You don't hear that anymore, do you? That's disappeared, okay? This lady could not, we even drew a picture for her, this young woman. She did not know what a hand crank can opener was. The kind you stick in the can and go like this with it.
Right.
Never saw one. She didn't know what one was. She had to be at least 27 years old. You know what I mean? How many of these young people, if the grid went down right now, how many people could survive? If the grid went down and you couldn't go to the CVS to pick up something, and you couldn't go over to Parson Jack's and get yourself a burger, okay? And you couldn't go downtown and to the Eckerd, Rite Aid, and go to the Rite Aid and buy yourself something. How many people would survive the month? People forget what happened in 1989 when Hugo came through here. How many people died later or really suffered because they had no electricity, didn't know how to survive. It's not 1989 now. It's 2017. And if you're seeing this 10 years down the road, we still look good. We're still here. This is being done in 2017. How many people, if Hugo happened now, with the crowd of people who came here from the Northeast, the Midwest, some from escaping California, how many people could survive? You'd be surprised. There'd be more people looting and robbing each other because they don't know what else to do. I would be sitting in my front porch with a shotgun. Nobody coming in. I would help if I could. But how many people know to do that? They don't know how to survive. Think about it. If the grid went down, that girl would not be able to open her own can of beans. She wouldn't be able to do it. She couldn't live without Taco Bell. So that's where you are. And again, to the news people, if you're going to sit down one-on-one with Trump, which I did one time, you just ask him stuff that he thinks is important. That's all. You don't ask a president, well, what do you say about Steve Bannon? He's got bad skin and he's an evil guy. You know what he's going to say? Steve Bannon will be fine. What I want to talk about is Obamacare. That's what you're going to hear from him. You're going to hear about health care. You're going to hear about taxes. You're going to hear about other things. That's what my advice is to the news. But they need to sell time on newspapers and space on newspapers. So they go with what is sexy. They go with the argument. They go with the flame. You know what I mean? They don't report the news. They add into it anymore. So that's where we're at. And look what we're talking about today. We're talking about, racists screaming at each other. Well, people have been screaming at each other for millions of years. Well, I don't know how old man is. 100,000 years. People have been yelling and fighting with each other forever. Biggest joke in our lifetime. Jimmy Carter going out trying to make peace between the Palestinians and the Israelis. Right. They were fighting. Look, Mr. Carter, I like you. I'm sorry you got hurt on the job the other day, but you hit the nail. You hit the nail with a hammer. Not the other way around. You're getting kind of old. And Billy Beer, your brother's beer, really crappy. Yeah, Jimmy Carter run out there, waste of time. Mr. Carter, those people were fighting for 2,000 years before you got there, and they're still gonna fight. And they're always gonna fight. Israel's surrounded by people who want to attack them. And you're not gonna get rid of that attitude. Most of the people there know to live and let live and get along. It's like most of the people in our neighborhood here get along. I mean, you and I live in Charleston. And for my racist friends who live in the Northeast, that's right, that's where the racists are. There's no racist city more racist than Boston. And if you have to go there to understand it. If you don't like black people, there's one. Don't come to Charleston. Right? 1 out of every 3 people you see is black. We were standing out waiting to get in here. And if memory serves me right, there were 6 of us waiting to get in, right? I even said, hey, there's 6 men here. Let's rush the place. And everybody left. I was the only white guy there. And look, I'm not even really white. Okay? I'm Caucasian. I was standing there with a bunch of black guys. Did we yell at each other? Did we fly flags in each other's face? No. Did we say bad words to each other? No. We told a couple jokes, and then someone opened the door. That was it. We all get along. What's wrong with you?
Rocky D, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, it's great. By the way, you can get my show, rockyd.com. It should say .com on there. rockyd.com. That's where you'll find me 24/7, and you'll find this guy. That's my Carol Merrill thing.
Yeah,
Channel 4.
YouTube, yeah, all that.
Quintin's Close-Ups?
Yes, sir.
Quintin's Close-Ups. And this is as close as you're going to get. Trust me.